Welcome to Mental Performance Unleashed with Emily Heird.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to an all new episode of Mental Performance Unleashed with Emily Heird. I'm your host, Mike Leon. Emily here is a licensed psychotherapist and certified performance mastery coach who helps attorneys and legal leaders operate like intellectual athletes, achieving business results with high levels of well being. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about energy management and recovery. Emily's going to explain how lawyers, you can stay sharp, avoid burnout, and perform at your best. So Emily, good to see you as always. Let's start with this high level concept here. Explain what energy management means. How is it different from time management?
Well, thank you, Mike, for having me. I'm thrilled to be back. So time management is how we allocate the hours in the day, and energy management is how we operate within our capacity and optimizing our capacity for those hours in the day. You know, someone can have great time management strategies and skills, but their performance and their work is impacted because their energy is depleted. And so think of it this way, like all attorneys have the same 24 hours in the day. And I'm not going to use the cliche line of, well, Beyonce has 24 hours in the same day, because that's just kind of, BS. But all attorneys have 24 hours in the same day. And so the differentiator between the attorney who optimizes their energy versus the one that tries to manage their time only is that the attorney who optimizes their energy is focusing on their focus and their decision making and their cognitive optimization for those hours in the day. We have to realize that we are human organisms. We are not productivity machines, and energy management is working with our biology instead of against it. And there are multiple domains of energy that need rest and recovery from physical, emotional, cognitive, and spiritual categories. If we bring this back to athletes, athletes incorporate rest and recovery management as a strategic part of their peak performance. They can't be training at 12 hours a day, 365 days a year, and expect themselves to perform at their best in high stakes moments.
It's a great comparison. And you mentioned in there about rest. When people hear rest, they think of the synonym sleep, potentially not getting enough sleep. I'm sure that's very important when you're managing energy. But what other sleep practices would you recommend that attorneys start prioritizing to help them maintain the focus and the sound judgment?
Certainly. And so sleep is one of these things that is a non-negotiable daily foundational habit. It is tied to every aspect of our physical, our mental, and our cognitive health. So some best practices I would recommend are to have a consistent sleep schedule. There's a ton of research out there that supports the importance of, going to bed around the same time, and more importantly, waking up at the same time every day, even on the weekends. This helps our circadian rhythm stay, where it needs to be. Sleep deprivation is really like being impaired on alcohol. So I tell attorneys, you wouldn't let your paralegal come in after they've drank 3 alcoholic drinks, but that's how you're operating if you are consistently going without sleep. So having a consistent wake up and bedtime. The second one is to give yourself a bedtime routine. There's a reason why with kids, we set up a routine for them. They have the bath, the story. There's a certain set of behaviors that we go through that the brain habituates and starts to pair these signals with, oh, it's time to wind down and to go to sleep. So no legal work, ideally about 90 minutes before you go to bed. If you're doing work in your bed and checking your email in your bed, then your brain starts to associate bed equals work and activation, not sleep and rest. Then I would recommend optimizing your sleep environment. So a very cool temperature, 65 degrees, dark environment. And then, just remembering that the thought like I'll sleep when I'm dead or buying into the hustle culture is a terrible mindset to have. The people who understand that sleep is your superpower, and really embrace that, have that sustainable, sharp performance that all attorneys want.
Emily, what about during their actual workday now? What would you recommend for lawyers? What's the best way that they can organize their workday to include these pockets of breaks or recovery periods?
Absolutely. So think about a basketball team. They play at high intensity for bursts of time, and if a coach notices that a player is getting fatigued, maybe they're starting to miss more shots, then the coach is going to call a timeout to sub that player out for some rest. Or if there's a long period of time where there's not a natural break in the play, then a coach will call timeout to give their players rest. And our attentional capacity works the same way. There's only a certain amount of attentional capacity that we have. And as the lawyers, as you are thinking all day and solving these problems and doing research, that is being drained. So we need to bring in these periods of breaks and rest to recharge that attentional and focus capacity. This is not you being weak. This is how your brain operates. This is what is called your ultradian rhythm. There's about 90 minutes of focused work. So focus on a single task, doing deep work without notifications. Notifications are the thing that is really going to fragment your cognitive energy and deplete that cognitive energy very quickly. So deep focused work, and then take a break. And when you're taking that break, important things: you're not on your phone, you're not on your screen, you're not pumping your brain full of other information. It is going outside, taking a walk, getting a little exercise snack, doing some squats, keeping some hand weights in your office and doing some curls, whatever it is. I did burpees the other day as one of my micro breaks. Expand your gaze. That helps recharge your attentional capacity when the gaze is so narrowed and focused at the computer screen all day. And if you can't start with 90 minutes and then 10 minutes of break, start with 20 minutes and then 5 minutes and work your way up. Then in the afternoon dip, because we all have this natural circadian dip in our circadian rhythm and our energy around 2 to 3, use that time strategically. Schedule admin tasks, or catch up on your billing, or have client meetings if those don't drain you. Return phone calls at that time. Look for your energy patterns and matching those periods of time when your attention and your focus may not be at its best for tasks that you can complete that are not as demanding cognitively.
So let me ask you, what about nutrition, hydration habits throughout the day, week, whatever it is you recommend for lawyers? What do you recommend so that way they can maintain their energy levels?
Yeah, so if we think about the purpose of food and nutrition, it's really to fuel our body and our brain with the vitamins and minerals it needs to perform optimally. Athletes eat foods and are on meal plans that are going to sustain their energy and build the type of muscle that they want. So think about this in terms of your brain health. So a lot of attorneys will run on coffee all day and caffeine pills, Adderall, reaching for sugary snacks, all of these habits that are, giving false energy, and we really want to be fueling your body for the performance that it needs. So when it comes to nutrition habits, things like eating protein and fiber at every meal, not skipping meals on a regular basis, bringing snacks with you if you are going to court or if you are going to be on the go for long periods of time. High protein things like nuts, even some protein bars. Go shopping for your office so you have food on hand. And then using caffeine strategically. So having caffeine about an hour after you wake up, and then making sure that you're not drinking caffeine beyond like 3 p.m. because it's still going to be in your system at 9 p.m. or when you're trying to go to sleep. Then hydration, your cognitive performance starts to decline even with just a little bit of dehydration, because your brain is mostly water. And so it needs that environment to be optimized in order to perform optimally. Irritability, anxiety starts to set in when we are a little bit dehydrated. So keep water around, keep it visible at your desk, and make sure that you are hydrating enough, and also staying away from energy drinks. Replace your energy drinks with some water.
You just mentioned before about screen time and digital stuff. So let's get into that. How can lawyers manage those digital habits, whether it be notifications, whether it be like you and I right now talking on a computer, how to support genuine recovery?
So digital, the relationship with technology and our digital habits are a hidden energy drain. So you pull up your screen time, check how many times you tapped on your phone each day. Check how many hours you're spending on the day. Or on your phone each day. It is illuminating to see how mindlessly and how often we reach for our device. These notifications just constantly interrupt us. They fragment our attention. They keep us stressed, and it's draining people's cognitive energy more than they understand. So here are some strategies. The first one is to architect your environment. Set yourself up for success. Turn off all non-essential notifications on your phone and on your computer. For those deep, focused blocks of work, put your phone out of sight. Put it on Do Not Disturb. Turn off your email notifications. Log out. Anything that is clamoring for your attention, we want to regain control of and not have it control us. The second one is to batch communication. And I know this is a challenge for a lot of attorneys, but stay out of your email unless it is a scheduled time. The constant in your email is only leading to you being reactive to everyone else's agenda for your day rather than you getting your work done. And I know there's an expectation of responsiveness, and you have to decide what responsiveness means to you individually. And if it feels too anxiety provoking to stay out of your email, for 2 hours at a time, start with 20 minutes and build up that tolerance and see that everything's okay. But you really want to be batching the emails. And then create device-free times. So lots of attorneys, the first thing that they do, or lots of humans, let's just normalize this, the first thing that they do when they wake up is to look at their phone. What's in the email? What's waiting for me at the office? Let's get on social media. Let's check the news. And that is horrible for us for many reasons. So protect an hour of your morning and protect an hour of your evening to have device-free time, which is actually going to help you cognitively, mentally disconnect from work and have more recovery.
So, Emily, let me ask you, what about leaders of the firms at the top? What can they do to encourage this balance and the recovery for their teams without obviously compromising results?
Certainly. Yeah. So leadership is important that leadership model these behaviors and buy into the effectiveness of these behaviors, because associates, people under them, they're going to pay attention to what you do, not what you say. So, leave work occasionally at 6 p.m., model disconnecting, take vacations when you're on vacation, trust your team to handle things while you're gone. Don't respond to emails at midnight. If you are working and it is a late and everyone knows that you're up against a deadline, then that's communicated, but it's the exception, not the norm. And then if you are working, make sure that you use the send later feature to people, to your associates, so that they get it in the morning and they don't feel that. That just helps them set those boundaries for themselves, gives them permission to as well. Normalize the energy conversation. So instead of only checking in with people about their billable hours or the results on their case or what isn't going well, ask them, what's your energy level? How are you doing energy wise? And then eliminating false urgency. So a lot of times there's this manufactured sense of urgency, and that doesn't help people actually prioritize the work that needs to be done and keeps people in the fight or flight, stressed out state. So leaders can be really great about modeling how to prioritize things and setting true deadlines instead of manufacturing that sense of urgency. And then the last thing I will say is that firm environments can create this space where people can be more successful with energy management. So maybe buy some walking treadmills where people can stand at different workstations and they can have walking meetings or walk while they are working. Provide some green spaces outside or even some greenery inside the office. And these are things that can help promote rest and recovery.
Yeah, I like that. Walking treadmills. I like that idea. So, Emily, finally, as we land the plane here, what are some actions lawyers can take right now, this week, to better manage their energy and recovery?
So the first thing that I would highly recommend is to start implementing these focused blocks of time. Lock in, tune out all of the noise, and start to retrain your focus muscle. It has been weakened through all the technology that we use and the scrolling and all that, but we can retrain that focus muscle. So get some deep work done. And turn off your email, take those micro breaks is the second recommendation. So, some people are hesitant. They say, well, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for a 5-minute break, but it's understanding that when I come back from this 5-minute break, I will be more efficient and productive with my time. And so try it, see how it works, do an experiment. And then the third one is to create a shutdown ritual. So at the end of the day, do a 3-step routine where you log off from your computer. You say something like, work is done for the day. I'm transitioning to mom mode or whatever it is. And start to create a ritual where your brain starts to associate those 3 steps with transitioning out of attorney mode and back into, human mode or you mode. So start with these 3 things. I could really recommend all of them, but pick one of these things that you've heard today, put it into practice, and see what changes you notice.
Emily, thank you so much for the time and insights on this. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.
And thank you to everybody out there for listening to another installment of Mental Performance Unleashed with Emily Heird. You heard us today cover energy management strategies for lawyers. We talked about everything from sleep and movement to digital habits, leadership practices. If you need to learn more about this, you want to learn more of these tools to perform at your best without burning out, do me a favor, visit vantageviewcoaching.com. And as always, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a comment or review, or share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. As always, I'm Mike Leon. We'll see everybody next time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.